All right. Hello, you guys. So today I'm going to do a little bit of a health update. Just remember that these videos are exploratory in nature, they're subject to change, and they're here to document what is going on within my journey so that I can remember later. So let's get into it. I will be doing another thought acceptance related video probably tomorrow, but if you're not interested in this kind of thing, I get it. I do also want to just do a little bit of a warning. I will be talking about some sexual topics in this video, so if that's something you're not at all interested in, I will see you tomorrow. Okay? Anyways, you guys, for those of you guys that are still here and still interested, I want to go ahead and get into it. So at this point in my journey, really for the past 3 weeks, I'm having a lot of improvements. So I've talked a lot of this year about how I was edging towards moderate hypo and getting out of a severe hypothyroid state. It was really a tug of war because when you go into a deficit, you backtrack thyroid-wise because a deficit is a strain on your thyroid. So a lot of the first part of my journey, about the first year and a half, it was just about getting to moderate hypo from a neutral state, a non-deficit state. Since August of 2022, it's been about getting to moderate hypo within a caloric deficit. And I would say at this point, it has been achieved. So I was still struggling a bit in August, but by the end of August, it really was going away. And a lot of the health issues I faced really just receded. I have not had the carpal tunnel. I don't get as serotonin-y as I used to, where I have these huge amounts of serotonin due to weight loss and due to being at a certain level of obesity. It has continued to recede. It reached that high point in July. I have not been depressed at all. I've had energy. I've been able to work. I was even able to work extremely hard at the end of August. And I've been able to work enough to where I can appropriately rest here in September. So I just have to say, things are really, really improving. I am in a much better place physically than I've been in many years. And it's taking me time to adjust because I've been definitely gloomy this year. I'm not really gloomy anymore. So with that comes certain benefits and issues. So a lot of what I'm going through right now is dealing with my past. I know that may sound weird, but I've been extremely hypothyroid for years. I have been struggling and suffering, and it has been my top priority. So I talked about this in a previous health update where it was tough for me to shift from a singular focus. I was completely focused on my hypothyroidism and my thyroid health to the detriment of literally everything else in my life because it was the top issue. Since around August and July, I've had to shift and get used to taking on a more holistic approach to my life. So I'm finding myself really looking at practical issues in my life. So things like cleaning up, paying bills on time, right? Working enough, getting enough money. I'm very financially focused right now. I'm very career focused. In all these different aspects. I do still worry about my dating life, my romantic life, obviously. But as of this point, there's this little bit of boredom. So I think it sounds really bad, but I think we all think about, dying, survival, and thriving like you're really just in those 3 categories. But for me, it's like I'm neither surviving or thriving right now. So I've reached a very midpoint of my journey where I'm very much in the middle of everything. I'm not dying anymore. I'm not even close to it. I'm not even severe. So that means like I don't have as much to say about my health journey, which is why I haven't been posting as much about it, because things are much more stable now. Things are not really changing that much. Things are just kind of proceeding to be expected. I bloat around this time of the month, and then it comes down, and then I lose more. It's just like a very similar pattern I've been in. I've had to slow down on the weightlifting. Like I had to stop increasing my weight because my form was kind of suffering. I had been increasing it a lot. So I have had to take a step back in a lot of ways this month, where I have been struggling a bit with the deficit because I had to lower my calories more, and it was tough for me. Like it's, for some reason, these calorie cuts have been hitting harder. And so there's been those little things, but overall, like, I'm doing a lot better. And I think at this point, I'm just trying to allow the good to come in. I've really, like I said, I've been dealing with my past in the sense that people are so used to me always dying or always complaining or always being in pain. And so it's like I have to kind of just live through that and let that sort of skin shed off, because it's done. And it's really weird to say that, because for me, I do struggle sometimes with change. Even positive change, it can be a little tough for me to be like, oh yeah, I'm better now. I don't have to worry anymore. Like, this is under control. Oh, my stomach is going crazy. So even talking about it, I'm a little nervous, right? But I think it's just because, like, nowadays, what I'm being faced with is, like, extreme boredom. And I think, I was talking to one of my best friends on the phone about it, and he was just like, not everything has to be a Degrassi episode. He's like, we don't always have to constantly be in these tumultuous times all the time, which I laughed when he said that. But it's like, I think sometimes, maybe as a millennial or just as a sick person or whatever, somebody that got better, you are kind of used to those thrills of life of like, am I going to make it or not kind of vibe. And it's like, things are very stable right now. So I have felt very bored, extremely bored, which is good. Boredom is a privilege. So I do have to let that be known. Like, I know it sounds negative, but it's actually really positive, because when I was dying physically, I couldn't be bored because I always had this goal to focus on, and it was like a constant thing. It was always changing. It was always getting worse and better and worse and better. Like, I never knew what was going to come. Whereas now things have really stabilized, and I would consider it a relatively normal weight loss journey. I think I'm at where a lot of people start, where they feel kind of funky and whatever, but I'm still super morbidly obese, I'm really close to just being morbid though. So yeah, I've definitely been feeling the need and want to get out more, to meet new people, to move forward, to do things in my life. Like, I've been really feeling like I want to be more social. Like, I want to kind of come back to how I used to be, because I used to be really social, and I used to go out and do things and, go on adventures and do this kind of stuff. And I really haven't since 2020 because of my health crisis. So I feel like just this time frame of being a bit frustrated, because it's like I don't have enough money or friends in this area or anything like that. I don't have like much of an infrastructure to my life, because my whole life was about my health. And so I look forward to starting new projects this year, getting out more. I might need to text my cousin and be like, let's go shopping or something. Like, let's just go sit somewhere. Like, I need to do more, and I have energy now, and I feel better. And it's like, yeah, but I think I'm just dealing with a lot of practical stuff. Like, I have a lot of debt and just things that I have to take care of. So it's just one of those like sort of mundane, boring times of life. I have really enjoyed my YouTube channel. I've enjoyed returning. And with that, I can go ahead and segue into some of the sexual stuff that I'm feeling, which is crazy. So I think what happened is earlier this year, and really since July of last year, when I started the deficit, my brain was increasing serotonin. This is what I believe. It was getting higher and higher and higher as I was losing weight. And really over like July going into August and September of last year, I took on a very, very pious, very religiosity mindset. And I don't mean religiosity as in like, spirituality. I mean like rigidity and rituals, right? And rules. And, during this time I felt body dysmorphic episodes. I was very obsessive with the scale, right? So I became very ritualistic, and that's a part of having very high serotonin. I couldn't handle, I was getting more and more rigidity in my mind as time went on. Now this hit a fever pitch around December of last year where I was really losing interest in porn. I have my sort of kinks or whatever. I don't mean to be super graphic on here, but it's like I had all that stuff and I was really losing interest in it. And I was just like, ew, this is just whatever. Like, I'm over it. And I was just becoming extremely vanilla. And the thing that makes me laugh kind of at this point is I really felt like I had like become more moral. Or like I had really matured emotionally or something. Like I remember thinking that like, oh, I'm getting healthier and I'm just better now. And, I'm kind of above all that stuff, and blah, blah, blah. Like that was my mindset. And this kind of kept continuing. Like the serotonin kept expanding and like getting more and more up until July. So all of this year, it's like I'm starting to get just really depressed. That's, if you have extremely high serotonin, it makes you really depressed. It can make you have suicidal ideation if it's really high. And I was having that. I would get into rage spells, where it's like I get very, very triggered. And, towards July, it was getting so much. I was having panic attacks and, having huge issues and becoming extremely ashamed. So like that sort of natural serotonin response of just having some shame to like keep your behavior more appropriate, I really went way too far. Like it became so oppressive by July. It's like I was ashamed just of who I was. I was just ashamed of myself completely. It's like my world felt kind of small and my creativity was really stifled, which is partly why I wasn't doing as well on YouTube, because I was so depressed and I was so constricted mentally because my mind was so rigid. And that's a huge side effect of having really, really high serotonin, which I only had because I was approaching this middle zone of fatness, especially as a man. So it's especially pronounced in men, and it's very, very high when you're in a middle zone of fatness, which is where I've been this year. So after, around July 20th or so, my depression broke and my creativity started to return and things started shifting. And over August, I was still very, very ill with serotonin-related stuff. I got carpal tunnel due to swelling and, all these crazy, crazy side effects that I still was having in August. But it started to recede by late August. Over August, I was considering, writing again, writing a novel. I'm still considering it. I want to. I'm nervous, though. It still makes me kind of nervous, just because I've never done a novel before. But I think I might need an outlet for certain things, which we'll get to. So the other part of that is around August, I did, I didn't really use porn from February until like late July or August, which is crazy for me. And so by the time I got to August, I started being interested in it again. And I was like, what's going on? And like I said before in my previous videos, like I have one in March where I talked about this, and I was like, oh, you know, I just want something loving and blah, blah. So I have this person, he's an ASMR artist I'm just obsessed with, and there's no excuses. Like, I am obsessed. I am very much, like, not that much of a fan of anybody, but those that I am a fan of, I go fucking hard. Like, as an example with musicians, I don't really like anybody, but I like Taylor Swift, and I am a mega Swiftie. I'm, like, a huge Swiftie. And the same thing is, like, I guess with, like, ASMR or something, or I don't know. But anyways, this guy, he was doing, like, this video, and during the video, he calls the audience a pussy. And I was just, like, listening to it, and then I heard him say that, and I was like, oh my God. And I, like, replayed it. And I was like, well, I am really turned on by him saying that. And it just kind of grew. And grew, and I was like, oh my gosh. And it kind of took me back to, like, 2015 Alex. 2016 Alex. And I was like, oh my gosh, I used to be so into this shit-talking thing. And, like, I don't know, just more, you know, rougher stuff, I guess. I don't know how else to say it. But I literally was like, oh my God, this isn't dead in me. Like, this isn't gone. I was just dead. I was just so ill. And so it was very humbling for me because I'm like, I don't know. I'm not vanilla anymore. And I was like, okay. So it was just hormonal. It was not like some moral thing of mine. It was literally just a hormone thing. And so I'm coming to terms with the fact that at least mentally, I'm a huge whore. Mentally. That's what we'll say. And I'm a very basic ass bitch gay man. Basic. And I'm like, okay. I don't get to say I'm not like the other gays. I am very much so like the other gays. Very stereotypical, even. And I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. I'm a hoe. Desperate hoe. So I think that, like, the boredom combined with realizing that I'm a desperate hoe, it's a little bit of a weird time for me. But that's why I'm like, I think I should probably do that novel because it might give me an outlet for this crazy Hoeism that I'm feeling. Because, as I'm sure you guys are not shocked, I'm not the most impressed by my options at this moment. I definitely need to be in better shape. And I'm very much a quality over quantity person. Like, I want what I want, period. So I'm kind of like, if I'm not that into you, no way, Jose. You know what I mean? So that's just my style. I'm still introverted. I'm still very much quality over quantity. But I'm like, I'm not pulling in the quality, so I need to become that quality. So I think in the meantime, you know, the novel I'm thinking of writing is a gay novel. So I'm like, I might actually... Well, it's a gay / historical novel, I guess. So it is like a bigger context, but it's like the main character is gay. So I'm like, I might need to just do this then and just like use this hoe energy to creatively. And the thing is it's not like a bad thing. It's just like a little humbling, but it's also a good thing because if I'm more in touch with like my sexual energy, this is so weird to talk about, but whatever, I told y'all, then I think I'm more in touch with my creative energy. And I think that's also like part of why I'm doing better with YouTube and I'm just like more creative. And, you know, the serotonin is really receding. And I think when you become a more dopamine oriented person, you're just more creative and you're more like anti-authoritarian, or I don't know how to describe it, because serotonin has a lot to do with like authoritarianism, and it has a lot to do with like following rules, and you know, there's nothing wrong with that. We need everything to be in balance. There's nothing wrong with following rules, but it's like, it's still better and more fun for me at least to be in a more like very individualistic, very creative, very like free space, obviously. And especially being a YouTuber, it's just so much better to be creative. So I am so happy to see this returning. I thought that this part of me had died, and that's really crazy that it didn't. You know, I think sometimes when we get older, maybe we think certain things are tied to our age, but it could just be tied to health issues. And I thought that that part of me had died, and I had grieved that part of me that was like sort of wild and rebellious and adventurous and these things. And it's like, she's back. It's a she inside. It's a she. That part of me is a she. I'm just kidding. But anyway, she's back. The bitch is back, you know? So I'm like, okay, I think I will definitely be better though. It's just weird because it's like a very paradoxical feeling of being like more submissive, but also more rebellious. It's really weird, but I'm kind of loving it. And this is me. You know, this is who I used to be. And I never got to be this person being like out and proud, so to speak. I never got to do that, because as soon as I, you know, came out with everything and really was about it, I was very traumatized. And soon after that I got on a psych med, and it just really changed the way I thought and stuff. And I feel like I did before I ever got on that. I wasn't on it for very long. I was on it for like 6 months, but it seems like the effects never left me, you know, but now they did. So, you know, as a Swiftie, we speak in terms of eras, and 1989 era Alex is back. And let me just say, blank space, Taylor actually wrote that about me. So blank space Alex is back, and my crazy, wild side has definitely come back. And I'm ready for a guy to call me a pussy. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much. I will talk to you guys later. Have a good rest of your day, night, whatever. We'll be back to our normal scheduled programming tomorrow. I'm going to film something tonight. So I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.